The sound of a key turning in a deadbolt is distinct. It's a metal-on-metal scrape click that you can't mistake for anything else. It was Tuesday, 2:58 p.m. I was sitting at my dining room table, my dual monitor setup sprawled across the mahogany surface, deep in a forensic audit for a client who had accidentally purchased a yacht with company funds. The house was silent. It was supposed to be silent. I'd adjusted the thermostat to a perfect 70 degrees, and the only noise was the low hum of my laptop's cooling fan. Then came the scrape click. I froze. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I didn't breathe. My first instinct wasn't intruder, because intruders don't usually fumble with a key ring for 10 seconds trying to find the right one. Intruders kick doors. This was worse. This was entitlement. The front door swung open, letting in a blast of humid Savannah heat and the overpowering scent of Chanel No. 5. "I'm telling you, Veronica, the flow is just all wrong," a voice announced. My mother-in-law, Delores. "It feels tight," a second voice replied. This had to be Veronica, the interior designer Delores had been threatening to introduce me to for months. Very enclosed, not enough air. I stayed seated, hidden from the entryway by the half wall that separates the dining space from the foyer. I should have announced myself. A normal person would say, "Hey, I'm home." But I was paralyzed by a sudden morbid curiosity. It's like when you hear people whispering your name in a bathroom stall. You know you shouldn't listen, but you have to know just how bad it is. "And these walls," Delores sighed. I could hear her hand slap against the drywall. "I told Felix that this gray is depressing. It's like living in a battleship, but you know how men are. He just picked the first thing he saw at Home Depot." My eye twitched. I picked that color. It was Revere Pewter. It cost $60 a gallon, and I spent 3 weekends testing swatches in different lighting conditions before I committed to it. Felix hadn't even been in the state when I painted it. He was on a golf trip in Hilton Head. "Well, we can fix the paint easily," Veronica said, her voice echoing as she walked further into the living room. "What about the furniture? The sofa? It's a bit heavy for the space." "Oh, ignore the furniture. That's all temporary," Delores said dismissively. "Felix is just making do with what he has until we can properly curate the space. He's so busy with his work, he doesn't have time to worry about aesthetics." I slowly closed my laptop lid. Curate. She was talking about my West Elm sectional like it was a Craigslist curb alert. Then I heard a scraping sound. Not a key this time. Canvas on drywall. "See, this is what I mean," Delores said. "This clutter. It's just visual noise." I stood up, quietly. I crept to the edge of the dining room archway. Delores was standing in the middle of my living room, holding a framed black and white photograph of the Paris skyline. My photograph. The one I bought from a street artist in Montmartre when I was 23, backpacking solo through Europe on a shoestring budget. It was one of my proudest possessions. She was holding it by the corner, her face wrinkled in distaste, like she was holding a used tissue. "We need to clear all these walls," she told Veronica, gesturing with my art. "We need something sophisticated, maybe some large abstract prints, something that says Boone Family Heritage, not whatever this is." She placed the frame face down on my coffee table, face down on the glass. "Stack them up," Delores commanded. "We'll put them in the garage for now. Felix won't mind." That was the moment the good wife programming finally crashed. The error message flashed red in my brain. I didn't cough. I didn't shuffle my feet. "Hello, Delores," I said. "If you're watching this video, tell me where you're from or what time it is for you." The reaction was cinematic. Veronica actually jumped, clutching a fabric swatch book to her chest like a shield. Delores didn't jump. She just stiffened, her spine snapping straight as a rod before pivoting slowly on her heels. Her face did this incredible gymnastic routine, shock, then annoyance, and finally a plastic, terrifyingly bright smile. "Blair!" she exclaimed, placing a hand over her heart. "You startled us. Good heavens, I thought you were at the office." I work from home on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Delores, I said, leaning against the doorframe. I crossed my arms. I've told you that. About 20 times. Oh, do you? She waved a hand vaguely, dismissing the information as irrelevant static. Well, with all those spreadsheets, I just assume you need special equipment, like a calculator. I have a laptop, I said dryly. I looked at Veronica. Hi, I don't think we've met. I'm Blair. Veronica, the woman squeaked. She looked at Delores, then back at me. Delores said the house would be empty for the consultation. Consultation? I repeated. I walked into the room. I picked up my Paris photo from the coffee table, checked the glass for scratches, and deliberately hung it back on the wall. I took my time adjusting the level. I didn't realize we were having a consultation. I wanted to surprise Felix, Delores interjected smoothly. She walked over to the window, running a finger along the sill, checking for dust. She checked her fingertip. Clean. She looked almost disappointed. Veronica is an expert in spatial dynamics. I thought she could give us some ideas for freshening up the place. It's all a bit bachelor pad, isn't it? Bachelor pad. It's a 3-bedroom craftsman, Delores, I said, and I live here. So, by definition, not a bachelor pad. Yes, well, Delores laughed, that tinkling, ice cube in a glass laugh that makes my molars ache. You know what I mean. It lacks a woman's touch. I stared at her. I am a woman. This is my house. Therefore, everything I touch is a woman's touch. But logic doesn't work on Delores. She operates on a frequency of pure Southern denial. Veronica was just thinking, Delores continued, ignoring my silence, that we should replace these drapes. The heavy velvet is so suffocating. Maybe a nice linen? Something breezy. Veronica had pulled a tape measure out of her bag and was nervously extending it toward my window frame. Please don't measure the windows, I said. My voice was calm, but it had an edge. I liked the velvet. I bought them last year. Oh, honey, Delores said, stepping closer and lowering her voice to a conspiratorial whisper. We don't have to pretend. I know Felix is on a budget, but I'm willing to help out. As a gift. Let's get you some proper window treatments. Those look like they came from, well, let's not say. They came from West Elm, I said, and they cost $200 a panel. Exactly, Delores said, as if I had just proved her point. Mass market. She turned back to Veronica. Go ahead, dear. Measure the width and check the light variance. Veronica hesitated, looking at me. I didn't blink. I said, please don't. The room went dead silent. In the South, direct refusal is considered an act of war. You're supposed to say, oh, that sounds lovely, let me think about it, and then never do it. You don't just say no. Dolores' smile didn't waver, but her eyes went cold. Blair, don't be difficult. We're trying to help you. I didn't ask for help. That's the problem, Delores sighed. You never do. And poor Felix is the one who suffers. He looked so tired last Sunday. The lighting in here is probably straining his eyes. She checked her watch, a gold Cartier tank that she liked to remind people was a gift from her late husband, though I knew for a fact she bought it herself on eBay. Well, Veronica, it seems we're not welcome, Delores announced, grabbing her purse. I suppose we'll have to reschedule when Felix is home. He's much more reasonable about these things. She marched to the door. We'll let ourselves out. Oh, and Blair, open a window. It smells like reheated takeout in here. She slammed the door. I stood in the silence, staring at my Paris photo. I hadn't cooked takeout. I had a slow cooker of beef bourguignon going in the kitchen. It smelled delicious. It smelled like my house. I didn't work for the rest of the afternoon. I paced. I cleaned surfaces that were already clean. I rehearsed the conversation in my head about 50 times. This ends today. Give me the key. Tell your mother to back off. At 6:15 p.m., the garage door rumbled open. Felix drove a leased Audi A4. He loved that car more than he loved most people. He parked it with the precision of a surgeon, ensuring exactly 18 inches of clearance on all sides. I waited in the kitchen. I heard the car door shut. Then, nothing. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. I walked to the door connecting the kitchen to the garage and yanked it open. Felix was standing there, the hood of the Audi popped open, staring at the engine block with a flashlight. He was still in his work clothes, khakis and a blue button-down that was slightly wrinkled from the commute. "Hey," he said, not looking up. "Engine sounds funny. Think it's a belt." "The car is 6 months old, Felix. It's not a belt." "You never know," he muttered, poking at a pristine plastic cover. "German engineering. Finicky." "Your mother was here," I said. I didn't want to bury the leady. Felix winced. It was a small, physical reaction, like I'd pinched him. He kept the flashlight trained on the engine. "Oh, that's nice of her." "She brought an interior designer, Felix. They walked in without knocking. They started taking my art off the walls." "She's just excited, Blair. You know how she is about decor." "She called the house a bachelor pad. She told the designer you needed help because you were making do with what you had." Finally, he looked at me. His face was flushed, sweaty from the garage heat. He looked exhausted, the kind of exhaustion that comes from avoiding reality for 35 years. "She didn't mean it like that," he said. "The universal defense. She just wants us to have nice things. She has good taste." "I have taste," I snapped. "And I have boundaries," which she crossed. Again. "Can we not do this right now?" He wiped his forehead with the back of his hand. "I've had a hell of a day at the firm. Henderson is writing me about the quarterly projections. I just want to come home, have a beer, and relax." "Is that too much to ask?" "She has a key, Felix. In case of emergencies." Was today an emergency? Was redecorating my living room a life-or-death situation? He slammed the hood of the car shut. The noise echoed in the small space. "You're blowing this out of proportion. She's my mother. She's helping. Why do you always have to make her the villain?" "I'm not making her the villain. I'm quoting her directly." "I'm going to change," he said, brushing past me into the house. "We can talk about this later." "When?" I asked, following him. "When is later?" "Later," he said, heading straight for the fridge to grab a Stella Artois. He popped the cap off and took a long swig, his Adam's apple bobbing. He didn't offer me a glass. He didn't ask about my day. He walked into the living room, turned on the TV, and dissolved into the couch. The same couch his mother had just called temporary. I stood there, watching the back of his head. He wasn't just avoiding the conversation, he was avoiding me. He was hiding in the static of ESPN to drown out the fact that his wife was screaming for respect. It was 1:00 a.m. Felix was asleep, snoring softly with his mouth open, oblivious to the war planning happening 10 feet away in the dining room. I sat in the dark, the blue light of my laptop illuminating my face. I wasn't working on the yacht embezzlement case. I had opened a personal file, Household Ledger Master.xlsx. I love spreadsheets. They don't lie. They don't gaslight you. They don't tell you you're being sensitive when the numbers don't add up. I scrolled back to the beginning. Row 1. Date, August 15, 2019. Transaction down payment. Amount $55,000. Source, Blair Callahan. Savings, Bank of America. I remembered that day. I was 27. I had saved every bonus, every tax refund, every side hustle penny since I graduated. I ate ramen. I drove a Honda Civic with a broken AC. I bought this house alone. Felix Boone was still dating a yoga instructor named Kinsley in Charleston when I signed the deed. I scrolled down to 2021, the year Felix moved in. Date, June 1st, 2021. Transaction, mortgage payment, amount $2,200. Source, Blair Callahan. Date, June 3rd, 2021. Transaction, utility bill, amount $240. Source, Blair Callahan. Date, June 5th, 2021. Transaction, grocery transfer, amount $300. Source, Felix Boone via Venmo. Memo, pizza and stuff. I stared at the screen. pizza and stuff. I created a pivot table. I needed to see the aggregate, the visual representation of my marriage. Column A, total housing costs, 2021 to 2025. Mortgage, $105,600 taxes ins, $19,200 maintenance, new roof, HVAC repair, $14,500 total, $139,300 paid by Blair. Column B, Felix's contribution groceries, $14,400, $600 mobile lawn service, $2,080 internet, $3,600 total, $20 ID. He paid 13% of the household running costs, 0% of the equity. And yet, in Dolores's mind, this was Felix's investment. In Felix's mind, what's mine is yours. I looked at the numbers. They were cold, hard, and absolutely furious. I wasn't a wife. I was a landlord with a non-paying tenant who let his mother insult the property manager. I saved the file. I renamed it Evidence. Sunday brunch at the Habersham Country Club is a blood sport disguised as a meal. The dress code is church casual, which actually means expensive pastels and judgmental staring. We were seated at table 14, near the patio doors. Delores demanded this table because the lighting was better for her complexion. Felix was wearing a polo shirt that matched the napkins. I was wearing a navy dress that Delores had previously described as severe. "Try the shrimp and grits, Felix," Delores commanded, spooning a heap onto his plate before he could reach for the tongs himself. "You look thin." "Is Blair not cooking?" "I cook plenty," I said, stabbing a melon ball with my fork. "Well, you know," Delores said, leaning back and scanning the room. She spotted her friend group, the Bridge Brigade, at a large round table in the center. "Oh, there's Martha. I must go say hello." She didn't wait for a response. She floated away, a frigate of floral print sailing toward her fleet. "She's in a good mood," Felix mumbled, chewing his shrimp. "Just wait," I said. The acoustics in the dining room were terrible. Tile floors, high ceilings, voices carried, specifically Dolores's voice carried. I watched her approach the table. Martha, Vivian, Veronica's mother, and two other women with hair sprayed into concrete helmets looked up. "Delores!" Martha cried out. "We were just talking about real estate. The market is going crazy." "Tell me about it," Delores boomed. "We're thinking of doing some renovations on the kids' house. Felix is finally ready to upgrade the living room." I froze. My fork hovered halfway to my mouth. "Oh, is he?" Vivian asked. "That Craftsman in Ardsley Park? Such a great location. Felix was so smart to buy in that neighborhood when he did." "He has such a mind for investment," Delores preened. She actually preened. She smoothed her skirt and beamed. "He knew exactly what he wanted. He told me, 'Mother, I want a solid foundation for my family.' He's such a provider, just like his father." "And Blair?" Martha asked. "Does she like the house?" "Oh, she loves it," Delores laughed. "She's just grateful Felix took her out of that little apartment she was renting. You know how hard it is for young girls starting out these days. Felix really rescued her." Rescued? The word hung in the air like a foul odor. I looked at Felix. He was looking at his plate. He had stopped chewing. He heard it. I knew he heard it because his ears had turned bright red. "Felix," I whispered. He didn't look up. "Felix, did you hear what she just said?" "Don't," he hissed. "Just let it go. She's just talking." "She's lying, Felix. She's telling the entire Habersham Country Club that you bought my house and rescued me." "It's just brunch talk, Blair. Who cares?" "I care." I kept my voice low, but the table shook when I leaned forward. "Go over there, correct her. Tell them I bought the house 2 years before I met you." "I can't do that," he whispered furiously. "It would embarrass her in front of her friends." "So you'd rather humiliate me?" He took a sip of his mimosa, his hand trembling slightly. "You're being dramatic. Just eat your grits." I looked at him. This 35-year-old man who couldn't stand up to his mommy because it might be awkward. Then I looked at Delores, who was now acting out how she planned to rearrange my furniture, using salt shakers as props. I stood up. "Blair?" Felix looked panicked. "Where are you going?" "To the restroom," I lied. "Enjoy your shrimp." I didn't go to the restroom. I walked out to the parking lot, sat in my car, and screamed until my throat burned. Then I drove home alone. Monday morning. The hangover from the brunch rage was still throbbing behind my eyes. I was getting into my car to go to the office when I heard a raspy cough. "Hey, you, the redhead!" I turned. Mrs. Halloway from across the street was standing by her mailbox. She was a woman of indeterminate age, somewhere between 60 and death, wearing a leopard print caftan and smoking a cigarette that was mostly ash. "Good morning, Mrs. Halloway," I said, unlocking my door. "Come here," she beckoned with a crooked finger. "I got something for you." I hesitated. Mrs. Halloway was known for trapping neighbors in hour-long conversations about her cat's bowel movements, but there was something urgent in her posture. I walked over. "You work too much," she observed, blowing smoke away from my face. "That car is gone by 7 a.m. every day." "Got bills to pay, Mrs. Halloway." "Yeah, well, you might want to know who's paying visits while you're gone." She dug into the pocket of her caftan and pulled out a small silver object, a USB drive. "What is this?" "I got a Ring camera," she said proudly. "Grandson set it up, aimed right at your driveway, captures everything. Squirrels, mailman, and that white Mercedes SUV." Delores drove a white Mercedes SUV. "I know she comes on Tuesdays," I said. "She has a key." "Honey," Mrs. Halloway wheezed, a dry chuckle rattling her chest. "She don't just come on Tuesdays. She was there last Thursday, and the Thursday before that, and 2 Fridays ago." My stomach dropped. "What? And she ain't alone," Mrs. Halloway continued. "She brings people, different people. Couple of weeks ago, it was a guy with a clipboard, walked around the yard, pointing at your roof. Last week, it was 2 ladies. They went inside for an hour, came out laughing. A tour. She was giving tours." "Why are you telling me this?" I asked, gripping the USB drive. Mrs. Halloway dropped her cigarette butt and crushed it with her slipper. "Because that woman parked in front of my driveway 3 times, and when I asked her to move, she told me I should be grateful to live on the same street as the Boones." She spat on the ground. "I hate the Boones. Watch the video, honey. You got a squatter." She turned and shuffled back up her driveway, her leopard print billowing in the wind. I stood there, clutching the plastic drive like it was a grenade. I watched the videos at work. Mrs. Halloway was right. It was a parade. Thursday, 10 a.m. Delores and a man in a suit. Contractor? Appraiser? Friday, 2 p.m. Delores and 2 friends carrying garment bags. Garment bags? Were they storing clothes in my closets? By the time Felix came home that night, I was vibrating with adrenaline. I didn't wait for him to go to the garage. I met him at the front door. "We need to talk. Now. Living room." He saw the look on my face and didn't argue. He followed me to the couch and sat down, clutching his briefcase like a life preserver. "I need the key back, Felix," I said. "The one you gave your mother. I need it tonight." "What brought this on?" he asked, feigning ignorance. "She's been here when I'm at work, multiple times a week, bringing strangers into our home. She's just managing things," he stammered, "checking on the house." "I am the owner of this house," I shouted. "I don't need a property manager. I need privacy. Mrs. Halloway has video of her letting contractors into the backyard." "You're listening to that crazy cat lady?" Felix rolled his eyes. "Blair, be reasonable. Mom is just trying to help us get the house ready." "Ready for what?" To make it nice." He stood up, pacing. "Why are you so obsessed with ownership? My house, my house. We're married. It's our house. Why do you treat it like a fortress?" "Because she treats it like a dollhouse." I stood up too. "She brings her friends over to laugh at my furniture. She takes credit for buying it. And you let her. You sat there at brunch and let her tell everyone you rescued me." "I was keeping the peace," Felix yelled back. "That's what families do. We compromise." "Compromise is halfway, Felix. This is total surrender. I want the key. I can't ask her for it back, he said, his voice dropping to a pathetic whine. It would break her heart. She'd think we don't trust her. We don't trust her. I don't trust her. I'm not doing it, Blair. I'm not starting World War III just because you're insecure about your interior design skills. He walked away. He actually walked away. He went into the bedroom and shut the door. I looked at the closed door. Insecure, he said. Okay, if he wouldn't start the war, I would finish it. Paige worked in a glass-walled office downtown that smelled of espresso and expensive leather. She was my age, sharp as a tack, and had handled 3 divorces for partners at my accounting firm. Let me get this straight, Paige said, tapping a Mont Blanc pen on her legal pad. You bought the property in 2019, sole owner. He moved in 2021. Never added to the deed. Never paid mortgage. Only groceries and utilities. Correct? And now the mother-in-law is conducting unauthorized tours and claiming family ownership. Correct. Paige smirked. It was a shark smirk. I love the South. The audacity is endless. She opened her laptop. Okay, Blair, you have 2 problems. One is a husband problem. The other is a trespasser problem. We're going to solve both. She started typing. First, we draft a post-nuptial agreement. This isn't just about the house. It's about segregating assets. We define the house as separate property explicitly. Any proceeds from a sale remain yours. We also clause that any future joint purchases require 50-50 capital contribution. He'll never sign it, I said. He's terrified of rocking the boat. He'll sign it, Paige said calmly, if the alternative is an immediate divorce filing where we publicly depose his mother about her unauthorized entry. Imagine Delores Boone on a witness stand, admitting she snoops through your underwear drawer. I smiled. The image was delicious. But here's the kicker, Paige said, leaning forward. The house is the totem. It's the symbol of their control. As long as you live there, they think they own it. The narrative is set in stone. So what do I do? Burn the totem, Paige said. Sell it. Liquidate the asset. Remove the battlefield. If you sell the house, the Boone family estate vanishes. You take your cash and you move somewhere with a doorman who doesn't care about Dolores's bridge club status. Sell it? I felt a pang. I loved that house. Do you love the house? Paige asked. Or do you love the memory of buying it? Because right now, that house is haunted by a woman in Chanel who hates you. She was right. The house felt tainted. Every room had a memory of Dolores's criticism. Draft the papers, I said. I'm calling my realtor. Dexter Morrison was the kind of realtor who could sell ice to an Eskimo, but he was also discreet. He had sold me the house in 2019. We met at a coffee shop 3 towns over. I wasn't taking any chances. You want to list it, Dexter said, stirring his latte. But no sign in the yard, no MLS blast, no open houses. Pocket listing, I said. Strictly word of mouth. High-end buyers only. Cash preferred. Fast close. That limits your pool, Dexter warned. Might leave money on the table. I don't care about maximizing profit. I care about speed and secrecy. If a for sale sign goes up, my mother-in-law will see it within 4 minutes. The network is too fast. Dexter nodded. I have a couple, relocating from Atlanta, doctors. They want Ardsley Park, cash heavy. They need to be in by February. Show it to them. When? You said Felix is home every night. He plays golf on Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. religiously. That's tight, Dexter said. If he comes home early, he won't. He shoots a 95. It takes him all day. The showing was the most stressful 2 hours of my life. Saturday morning. Felix left at 7:45 a.m. Dexter arrived at 8:15 a.m. with Dr. Aaron and Jennifer. I had to prep the house to look perfect, but not staged. I hid the family photos that Delores hated. Ironic, I know. The couple walked through. Jennifer touched the walls. I love this color, she said. Revere pewter, right? It's so calming. I almost cried. Yes, it is. They move through the rooms. They love the kitchen. They love the bachelor pad furniture. It feels curated, Aaron said, like someone really cared about the details. At 11:30 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Felix. Front 9 was brutal. Skipping back 9. Heading home. Want lunch? Panic. Pure cold panic. Dexter, I whispered, showing him the phone. Okay, folks, wrap it up, Dexter announced, clapping his hands. I have another showing across town. We hustled them out the back door just as Felix's Audi pulled into the driveway. I was sweating. I ran to the kitchen and pretended to be unloading the dishwasher. Felix walked in. Hey, golf was a disaster. Why are you sweating? Oven, I gasped. Cleaning the oven. He bought it. He bought everything. Monday, 2 p.m. I was at my office. My phone rang. Blair, Dexter's voice was singing. Check your email. I opened it. A PDF document. Purchase agreement offer price, $450,000. I bought it for $275,000. Terms, all cash. Contingencies, waived. Closing, 45 days. My hands shook. It was real. It was freedom. It was a check for nearly $200,000 of profit that belonged solely to me. I signed it digitally. DocuSign. Click. Done. The house was sold. Now I needed to close the loop. I needed the final piece of evidence that would justify everything I was about to do to my marriage. I picked up my phone and opened a text thread with Delores. I typed carefully. Hi, Delores. I've been thinking about what you said. You're right. The living room needs a refresh. I'm working from home tomorrow, Tuesday. Why don't you and Veronica come by around 3 p.m.? I want to discuss paint colors. It was the perfect bait. An admission that she was right? An invitation to control? She couldn't resist. 3 bubbles appeared immediately. Oh, wonderful. I knew you'd come around. We'll be there. I have a sage green swatch that is just to die for. I stared at the screen. Sage green. Come and get it, Delores, I whispered. I packed my bag. Tomorrow was going to be a very interesting Tuesday. Tuesday arrived with the kind of heavy, humid atmosphere that usually precedes a thunderstorm. I spent the morning working, actually working, but my focus was fractured. I felt like a stage manager prepping for opening night of a play where only I knew the script. At 2 p.m., I started the physical preparations. This wasn't just about having a conversation, it was about creating a tableau. I cleared the kitchen island completely. I took the stack of documents Paige had prepared, the evidence folder, and placed it squarely in the center. I opened my laptop to the side, ensuring the screen was visible but not distracting. Then, the lemonade. It sounds petty, but I made fresh lemonade. I squeezed the lemons myself. I added mint sprigs from the garden. I placed a condensation-slicked pitcher and 3 tall glasses on the counter. Why? Because Southern hospitality is a weapon. You disarm people with sugar and ice before you dismantle their reality. It's the rule. I checked my phone. 2:45 p.m. I checked the volume settings. Ringer, maximum. Vibration, on. I placed it face up next to the pitcher. I stood in the center of my kitchen, my quartz countertops, my backsplash that I tiled myself over a 3-day weekend in 2020, and I breathed. I was wearing a white silk blouse and tailored trousers. I looked like a CEO. I looked like someone who owned things. At 2:58 p.m., the sound came. Scrape click, right on time. Delores was nothing if not punctual in her disrespect. I didn't move toward the door this time. I stayed behind the island, my hands resting on the cool stone, waiting for the invasion to come to me. Blair? Her voice floated down the hallway, cheerful and sharp. We're here. I hope you're ready for a transformation. In the kitchen, Delores, I called out. My voice didn't shake. I was proud of that. Delores swept into the room like a galleon under full sail, with Veronica trailing in her wake like a nervous dinghy. Delores was beaming. It was the smile of a general who believes the enemy has already surrendered. There she is, Delores announced, setting her massive quilted purse on my counter right next to the evidence folder, ignoring it completely. "Oh, lemonade, how thoughtful. Isn't that thoughtful, Veronica?" "Very nice," Veronica murmured, clutching a ring of fabric samples. She looked less confident than last time, perhaps sensing the static electricity in the air. "So," Delores clapped her hands together, "we've been brainstorming all morning, and we've decided that the gray simply has to go. It's too industrial. We need warmth. We need heritage." "Heritage," I repeated, pouring 3 glasses of lemonade. "And what color is heritage exactly?" "Sage green," Delores declared, as if announcing a royal decree. "Specifically, Savannah Marsh by Sherwin-Williams. It's elegant, it's timeless, and it will go perfectly with the antique mahogany sideboard I'm planning to bring over from my house to replace that metal thing you have under the TV." "You're bringing furniture?" I asked, sliding a glass toward her. I didn't agree to new furniture. "Oh, don't be silly. You don't have to agree," Delores laughed, taking a sip. "It's a gift. Felix and I talked about it. Well, I talked at him, and he didn't say no, and we agree that the living room needs to reflect the Boone family standing. You can't have IKEA next to heirlooms, Blair. It clashes." "My media console is from Restoration Hardware," I said, "and it weighs 300 pounds. "Well, whatever it is, it's cold," she dismissed. She turned to Veronica. "Show her the swatch, dear." "The big one." Veronica fumbled with her bag and produced a large square of cardboard painted a muddy, depressing green. She held it up nervously. "Imagine this on all 4 walls," Delores said, sweeping her arm across the room. "It will make the space feel enclosed, cozy, like a proper den, and we'll do the trim in a heavy cream." "It's very dark," I observed. "This house faces north. It doesn't get a lot of direct sunlight. If you paint it dark green, it's going to look like a cave." "Nonsense," Delores scoffed. "It will look sophisticated. Trust me, Blair. I've been decorating homes since before you were born. I know what works for this family." She leaned in, her voice dropping to that patronizing register she reserved for children and staff. "I know you struggle with vision, with seeing the potential of things. That's why I'm here, to help you elevate your standards to match Felix's." I looked at the clock on my phone, 2:59 p.m. "Elevate my standards," I said slowly. "That's an interesting way to put it, considering I chose every finish in this house. And that's exactly why we're here," she smiled, patting my hand, "to fix it." My phone lit up, 3 p.m. exactly. The screen flashed, Dexter Morrison. "Excuse me," I said, holding up a finger. "I have to take this. It's urgent." Delores sighed, rolling her eyes at Veronica. "Always working, even when we're trying to help her." I tapped the speakerphone icon. I didn't pick up the phone. I left it on the counter between us. "This is Blair," I said. "Blair, Dexter Morrison here." His voice boomed through the kitchen, crisp and professional. "I have excellent news. The buyers have signed the counteroffer. We are officially under contract." The room went silent. Not the quiet of a library, but the vacuum of space. Delores was midway through, reaching for a cookie I hadn't offered her. Her hand stopped in midair. "That's great, Dexter," I said, watching her face. "And the terms?" "Full cash offer, as discussed," Dexter continued, clearly enjoying his role in this play. "No contingencies. They've waived the inspection since the house is in such pristine condition. Closing is set for 45 days from today, January 14th. And the deposit? Wire transfer hit the escrow account 10 minutes ago. It's a done deal, Blair. Congratulations. That's a record price per square foot for the neighborhood." "Thank you, Dexter. Send me the final timeline. I'll start packing." "Will do. Cheers." Click. The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush a submarine. The hum of the refrigerator seemed deafening. Veronica was staring at her shoes, looking like she wanted to teleport into another dimension. Delores was frozen. Her face was doing something complicated, a rapid cycling through confusion, disbelief, and finally a dawn of horrific realization. Her mouth opened, closed, and opened again. "Buyers?" she whispered. The word came out like a squeak. "What buyers?" "The people who bought the house, Delores," I said, taking a sip of my lemonade. "A nice couple from Atlanta, doctors." "You..." She gripped the edge of the counter. Her knuckles were white. "You sold the house?" "I did. But you can't." She looked around the kitchen frantically as if the walls themselves would object. "This is Felix's house. You can't sell Felix's house." "And there it is," I said softly. I reached for the folder, the evidence folder. I slid it across the quartz countertop until it hit her purse with a soft thud. "Open it," I said. "I don't want to look at your paperwork," she spat, finding her voice again. Her face was flushing a deep, blotchy red. "I want to know what you think you're doing. Does Felix know about this? He would never allow this." "Felix has been informed," I lied. "But Felix doesn't have a signature on the deed, Delores." "So Felix doesn't get a vote. Of course he's on the deed," she shrieked. "He bought this house. He told me. He said he found the perfect investment." "He lied," I said. "Or rather, he let you assume, and he was too cowardly to correct you. Look at the papers." I flipped the folder open for her. The top document was the deed of trust. "Read the date," I commanded. "August 15th, 2019. She stared at it. She didn't want to look, but she couldn't help it. "I met your son in 2021, I continued, my voice calm and cold. "I bought this house 2 years before I knew he existed. I put down the 20%. I signed the 30-year mortgage. I paid every property tax bill, every insurance premium, and every repair cost." I pointed to the line on the deed. "Owner, Blair Callahan." "Sole owner," I said. "No co-signers, no parents, no Felix." Delores looked up from the paper. Her eyes were wet, but not with sadness, with rage. She looked like a child whose ice cream had just been slapped out of her hand. He pays the mortgage," she stammered. "He told me he handles the finances." "He pays for groceries," I corrected, "and the lawn service. About $600 a month. My mortgage is $2,200. I leaned in closer. "For 3 years, I have watched you parade around this house like you owned it. I listened to you tell your friends at the club that Felix rescued me. I let you criticize my furniture, my art, and my cleaning, all while I was the one paying for the roof over your son's head. I was trying to help," she cried, the tears spilling over now. "I wanted it to be nice for you." "No, Delores, you wanted it to be nice for him. You wanted to mark your territory. Well, guess what? The territory is sold. You have 45 days to get used to it." Veronica had backed all the way to the hallway. "I think I should go," she whispered. "Stay!" Delores barked, not looking at her. "Go, Veronica," I said kindly. "This isn't your fight." Veronica bolted. The front door slammed. Delores stood trembling in my kitchen. She looked smaller than she had 5 minutes ago. The sage green swatch was lying on the floor, forgotten. "I'll need the key," I said. She blinked. "What?" "The key Felix gave you, the one you used to break into my house when I'm at work. I know about the tours, Delores. Mrs. Halloway has video." Her face went pale. I never... "The key. Now. Or I call a locksmith and bill you for the replacement of every lock in this house." She stared at me with pure venom. Then, with a sharp, jerky motion, she dug into her purse, fished out a brass key on a mom keychain, and slammed it onto the counter so hard it bounced off the granite and skittered onto the floor. "You are a cold, heartless woman," she hissed. "You've destroyed this family." "I'm an accountant, Delores," I said, picking up the key. "I just balanced the books." She turned and fled. I didn't watch her go. I picked up my lemonade and took a long, satisfying sip. My hand was steady as I picked up my phone. I opened the text thread with Felix. Me. "Come home immediately. Your mother knows about the sale." Me. If you want to hear the truth from me before you hear her version, you have 20 minutes. I sat on a bar stool and waited. The adrenaline was starting to fade, replaced by a deep, bone-weary fatigue. This was the hard part. Delores was the enemy, but Felix was the disappointment. 15 minutes later, the Audi screeched into the driveway. He didn't park perfectly this time. He came through the door looking wild-eyed, his tie loosened, sweat on his brow. "What happened?" he gasped, scanning the room as if expecting to see blood on the walls. "Mom called me screaming. She was incoherent. She said you threw her out." "I asked her for my key back," I said calmly. "And I told her the house is sold." Sold. He looked at the folder on the counter. He looked at the empty lemonade glasses. "You actually did it? I thought you were just venting last week." "I don't vent, Felix. I act. But where are we going to live?" He sounded like a child asking where Santa Claus was. "That," I said, "is a conversation we need to have sitting down." He sat. He collapsed, really, onto the stool recently vacated by his mother. He picked up the purchase agreement and read it, his eyes darting back and forth across the lines. "January," he whispered. "That's next month." "Yes, the buyers wanted a quick close." "Why didn't you tell me?" He looked up, his eyes full of betrayal. "Blair, we're married. You can't just sell our home without telling me." "It's not our home, Felix," I said, my voice hardening. "It's my asset. And I sold it because I refused to live in a monument to your mother's disrespect." "This is about the paint?" he exclaimed, throwing his hands up. "You sold a house because of paint?" "I sold it because for 3 years you let your mother tell the world that you bought it. I sold it because you let her walk in here and treat me like a squatter. I sold it because you never once, not once, stood up for me." "I didn't know it bothered you that much." I told you explicitly, and you hid in the garage." He looked down at his hands. I thought it was easier to let her have her way. She's old, Blair. She's set in her ways." "And you're 35, I countered. "When do you get set in your ways? When do you decide that your wife is more important than your mother's bridge club bragging rights?" He was silent. The truth hung between us, ugly and undeniable. "So, what now?" he asked quietly. "Do we rent? Do we buy something else?" "I have already made an offer on a condo," I said. "Downtown, the unlisted high-rise on Drayton Street." "The one with the doorman?" "Yes, the one with strict security, coded elevators, no visitors without authorization." "Okay," he nodded, looking relieved. "Okay, we can do that. It's a nice building. We can start fresh." "I'm moving there," I said. "Whether you come with me depends on you." He froze. "What does that mean?" I reached into my bag, my work bag, not the kitchen counter, and pulled out the second document, the heavy one, the one bound in blue legal paper. "This is a post-nuptial agreement," I said, placing it in front of him. "A what?" "It's a legal document that defines our assets. It states clearly that the proceeds from this house sale, all $180,000 of profit, are my separate property. It states that the new condo will be in my name only." "Blair," he looked horrified. "That sounds like you're planning a divorce." "I'm planning for clarity," I said. "This agreement also dictates how we handle finances moving forward. We split joint costs 50-50, real 50-50. No more pizza money in exchange for equity." "You don't trust me," he said, his voice cracking. "I don't trust your boundaries," I corrected. "And I don't trust your mother. This document protects me. If you sign it, we move into the condo together. We go to therapy. We try to build a marriage that is actually a partnership. And if I don't sign it, then I file the divorce papers that are sitting in my lawyer's inbox right now." He stared at me. He looked at the document. He looked at the kitchen he was losing. For the first time, I saw a flicker of actual adulthood in his eyes. the realization that the safety net was gone. Mommy couldn't fix this. "I need to read it," he said hoarsely. "You have until Friday," I said. That night, Felix went to his parents' house. I stayed home, packing boxes. Around 9 p.m., my phone rang. It was Monica, Felix's sister, who lived in Charleston. We rarely spoke, mostly because she avoided the family drama like the plague. "Blair?" she said, her voice sounding tired. "I just got off the phone with Mom. She's melting down." "I imagine she is," I said, taping up a box of books. "She's telling people you tricked Felix," Monica said, "that you forced him to sign the deed over to you and then sold it out from under him." I laughed. It was a dark, dry laugh. "Of course she is. The truth is allergic to that woman." "I told her she was crazy," Monica said. "I know Felix. He's never bought anything more expensive than a set of golf clubs in his life. I know you bought that house." "Thank you, Monica." "She's terrified, you know," Monica continued. "She's losing control. That house was her stage. Without it, she's just an old woman with a mean streak. She still has her own house. It's not the same. She can't conquer her own house. She's already won there. She needs new territory." Monica sighed. "Look, for what it's worth, good for you. Someone needed to punch the bully in the nose. I just ran away to Charleston. You actually stood your ground." "I didn't have a choice," I said. "It was me or the sage green walls." "Just be careful with Felix," Monica warned. "He's soft. He's been insulated his whole life. If you pop his bubble too fast, he might just dissolve." "He has a choice," I said. "He can dissolve or he can harden up. I'm giving him the chance." Friday came. Felix had spent 2 nights at his parents'. I hadn't called him. I hadn't texted. At 6 p.m., the garage door opened. He walked in. He looked terrible. Dark circles, wrinkled shirt. He looked like a man who had spent 48 hours listening to Delores explain why he was a victim. He walked into the kitchen, where I was eating a salad. He placed the blue folder on the table. "I signed it," he said. I stopped eating. I didn't reach for it yet. "Did you read it?" "Every page. My lawyer said it was draconian but enforceable." And I signed it. He sat down heavily. "I'm sorry, Blair. I'm sorry I let it get this bad." "Apologies are words, Felix. I need action." "I know." He took a deep breath. "I told my mother I'm moving with you. She said if I leave with you, I'm choosing that woman over my family." "And what did you say?" "I said you are my family." I softened, just a fraction. "That's a start. I want to call her," he said, "now, with you here." He pulled out his phone and put it on speaker. He dialed. "Felix?" Delores answered on the first ring. "Are you coming home for dinner? I made pot roast." "I'm at home, Mom," Felix said. His voice shook, but he kept going. "I'm with Blair." "Oh." Her voice dropped to sub-zero. "I see." "Mom, I need you to stop lying about the house," Felix said. He looked at me for strength. I nodded. "Lying? I never—" "You've been telling people I bought it. You've been telling people Blair stole it. It stops now. Blair bought this house in 2019. I never put a dime of equity into it. It was always hers." "She's brainwashed you," Delores cried. "No, she woke me up," Felix said. "We're moving to the condo, and you are not going to have a key. You are not going to visit without an invitation, and if you insult Blair again, you won't see me for a very long time." Silence on the other end. Then a click. She hung up. Felix put the phone down. He let out a long, shaky breath. He looked like he had just run a marathon. "Okay," I said, reaching out and taking his hand. "Okay." Update. 3 months later. The view from the 10th floor is spectacular. From my desk, I can see the Savannah River and the church steeples, but I can't see the street. I can't see cars. I definitely can't see white Mercedes SUVs. We moved in mid-January. The closing went smoothly. I walked away with a check that padded my investment portfolio nicely. The condo is modern, concrete floors, floor-to-ceiling glass. It has zero heritage. It has zero sage green paint. I have my office in the second bedroom. The door has a lock, though I rarely use it now. Above my monitor, perfectly centered, hangs my black and white photo of the Paris skyline. It looks sophisticated. It looks like me. Felix is trying. It's a process. We see a therapist named Dr. Eris every Thursday. He's learning that enmeshment isn't a type of fabric. It's a trauma response. He still flinches when his phone rings, but he doesn't answer every call from Delores anymore. Delores tried to visit once. Last week, she tried to breeze past the concierge, Marcus. Marcus is 6'4" and used to work security for a diamond exchange. He called up to us. "Mrs. Boone is here." I looked at Felix. He was chopping vegetables for dinner, an actual contribution. "Tell her we're not receiving visitors," Felix said into the intercom. "But it's your mother, sir," Marcus said, professional as always. "I know who it is," Felix said. "Tell her to email us to schedule a time." We watched from the window as she stormed out of the lobby, got into her car, and drove away. I walked over to Felix and kissed him on the cheek. "Proud of you," I said. "Yeah, well," he shrugged, slicing a pepper. "I'm learning from the best." I went back to my office and opened my laptop. I pulled up my spreadsheet. Asset, condo, owner, Blair Callahan. Status, secure. The math finally adds up. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from, or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here.